Welcome to The Bone, the podcast that goes deeper. Here we cut through the noise and get straight to the core of the issues that matter. From real stories to raw truths, we dive deep into the conversations that shape our world and challenge our thinking. We're not afraid to dig in and get to the marrow of it all. Whether it's life, culture, or business in sports medicine, we're here to break it down raw and real. No filters, no fluff, just to the bone. With your host, Shelby Daly, we're getting to the bone. This is a clinically pressed, approved CEU podcast. Find the quiz to gain credit at clinicallypressed.org/courses. Clinically Pressed Company, making the complicated simple through results that give back. Find out more at clinicallypressed.org. Let's get started.
Jay Ostia. He is the founder of Nexus Sports Medicine. And, today we just wanted to jump on and catch up and talk to each other about state of athletic training and the business side of things. So no real structure today. Welcome to our brains.
I like free flow. It's fun to do that. Just think off the mind. So.
Yeah. So Jay, I've been spying on you. You went to Ireland, and then you've been doing a lot of product partnerships across the nation. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we'll start Ireland. So, and that's why I guess, for anyone listening, the cool thing about, and I think that what I appreciate about being with this, journey in Nexus is that, we get to travel. And that's, it's justified for us because, we have a lot of customers that aren't going to, get our stuff until they see it. So when we saw that, WFAT popped up, and shout out to them, it was in Ireland. I told my wife, we're doing this. It didn't matter that we knew nothing about it, but it is one of those things where I thought about going internationally. And again, just, it's a cool business trip to be able to do some stuff. And by going there, we definitely see there is, a lot of opportunity for us, not just in Ireland, but also the rest of the UK and then going into Europe. But just that execution of being able to, do things the way that we do it, no pressure or anything like that, to be able to sell in a different country is much more different. So again, it's just going to take more years for us to, do that market research. And again, what we value is developing relationships. And because of that, now we've also learned there's also opportunity to go into Asia, want to do that in Australia too. Mm-hmm. But Ireland is awesome though, just to get away and do something else.
Yeah. Well, so you were just there to network. Did you get to sit on anything? What did you learn from WFAT?
Yeah, so mainly the one part was networking. I told my wife, who went with me, the goal of this trip isn't try to sell, it's really more to learn and also to network. So met up with some people, some of them were just going to have some more touches. But the funny part was that we met more Americans than anything. And then with that, we actually met some program partners that we haven't met before, which is, really cool. And then we've actually met customers or people that were interested in our stuff, but we never would have met them because they don't go to certain shows. And we just happen to be in Ireland at all places. But just a lot of cool networking because there's a lot of people from other countries. And again, it's just the cool thing about this conference was that everyone is in a very good state of mind because, we all traveled from different places in the world just to be here in Ireland. So it's just a different, it's a different vibe and a different dynamic with people just being motivated because you're combining an educational trip with doing something, just cool to go into a different country. And I fully believe that everyone should travel internationally.
So what was your pulse on the globalization of athletic training and therapy? I think the US has the biggest population of this type of professional. Did you learn anything new or any insights on the spreading of sports medicine in general?
Yeah, I think the one thing that that I had no clue was that in Ireland, now they have certified athletic therapists. And I want to say it's the same in England. If anyone's listening from UK, please correct me. And same in Scotland. And then in physio or in the rest of Europe, it's mainly physios. Mm-hmm. And what we learned in this trip was that there's a pretty big, I don't want to say a massive divide, but the way that physios and CATs do things, it's a little bit different. Even though, again, there's that similar crossover of physios crossover doing the same stuff that CATs do. There's still a bit of a divide. So somewhere between us and physical therapists. And with that, to kind of gauge the numbers, I mean, again, we were in Ireland. I know that the size of number of CATs in Ireland is pretty small, but to go into the rest of Europe, again, I think it opens up good opportunities because now we have to go travel to Germany. You know what I mean? To go to these new conferences to identify, really see what is the bigger size of the market to identify. Okay, is the U.S. market like we're hypothesizing truly the biggest market, or is it in Europe? I still think it's here in the U.S. just because of the vast number of sports we have.
Yeah.
But I think it's exciting to be able to hopefully sell in Europe and Asia just because there's more alignment of our product lines with CATs and physios versus a lot of people say, oh no, go to the EMS market. But I'm like, I may have to completely redesign half my products. And, there's not enough data for me to say, okay, let's go do that. I'd rather try to, sell our stuff to people that have the same interests and functionality in mind with us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an interesting insight of the different markets in the other countries that you could possibly market to, but even just your design is so closely associated with athletic training. It's interesting to hear that the athletic therapists are kind of battling the same battle that we are experiencing in the US. And they don't even have the same type of health system ultimately. They don't have the third-party reimbursement and all that.
Yeah, that's another thing we didn't really get to learn, but we actually have a meeting with some people we met over in Ireland to kind of understand the landscape more, because again, it's the way that people look at this business stuff is, again, how is money paid, how's money made, and you have to really understand that in a revolving circle to see what's the best way, again, to serve the customer but also be profitable. And and again, if there's things that are being done differently in Ireland, the UK, and the rest of Europe, can we learn from that and do that here in the States? I don't know. But at least this whole journey is also about learning. And again, it's just going to take time to identify that.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you're booming again in the US with your product. A lot of partnerships that I'm seeing. How's that going? Is that going to continue? What's the next steps for that?
Yeah. Well, shout out to Maria for that, because she's been the person that handles our program partnerships. But I mean, to date, I think we're now over 80 people, 80 colleges, universities, organizations that we're partnered with. And that's where I'm still very grateful that there's people that are willing to do that, again, with a small business like us, because it's really the way that the industry is kind of designed was, again, primarily stuff to distributors, and we only sell very certain things. And we expect more growth for next year, but also I think a big part of this is that the priority of this is again, the relationships, and also being able to deliver really good products. And that's where we'll kind of get into the design of Dragonfly next, and I can bring it to you if you want to see it. But just that really, it goes into the whole journey of, we've had some partners that started early with us in 2022, and they've kind of seen the evolution of, all right, Deadbug, Firefly, the drone, now Nemesis, and then going to next year, Dragonfly will be like what I kind of call like the kit to complete the basketball starting lineup, like the starting five. And that's what a lot of the past couple of years has been building up to, now having a complete product lineup.
Yeah. So your strategy, can you go into that with the starting five like you talked about? Like, is that what you originally envisioned, or how did that come about?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm actually excited about talking about this. It was definitely, when I first started the Deadbug, I mean, if I had done things differently, I think Nemesis should have been the first bag made, but whatever. But I think that kind of learning, thinking about that starting five was when we actually introduced the Firefly, just because, I know who our competitors are, and it was just more about, one, just getting the funding to develop all this stuff and to put in production. So really that starting five concept came about in just my head. It was just literally seeing our competitors, just having some sort of bag or pouch at each, class size of the sector. And what I call the sector is personal carry bags, right? Anything that's like, that's bigger, where it's like a true traditional rolling kit, or your big duffel bag style kits, that's a completely different sector. So specializing in that personal carry, having, again, DV2, Nemesis, Dragonfly, drone, the Fireflies, like, the Fireflies are point guard. I'm a basketball guy. Drones.
And that's the smaller bag, right?
Yeah.
Can you define the bags just so people don't know which one's which?
Yeah, the Firefly is the most minimalist hip kit. it's 4 by 6 inches. It's pretty small, or sorry, 3.5 by 6, pretty small. A shooting guard is the drone, which is like 5 inches by 8. Dragonfly. Oh man, I don't actually remember its dimensions. It's a little bit bigger than drone. It's smaller than Nemesis. Dragonfly is going to be our true hybrid flagship fanny pack that converts to a sling bag. Nemesis has been the best-selling bag this year that we expected to, and it's what everyone's wanted, the horizontal crossbody sling bag. And then starting at the center position is DV2. That kind of does it all at the biggest size. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
and
that's been the goal.
Have you gotten a full kit yet though? Like a rolling bag, travel bag? Which one's that one?
Oh, nothing yet, but that's where I guess I'll tell you and then everyone else I've talked to is that if anything, it would be a dead bug variant that's a backpack. Just before we get into that, just because from looking at the budget standpoint, along with logistics and shipping, man, those bigger kits just they come with a lot more problems too. So again, it's just going to be kind of more market research to make sure I can get it done right. But I have something very specific I want to make before that. That's not even a bag.
Okay.
I can't tell you here, but it's been probably the project I've been wanting to get out before any big kit, even though I'm very appreciative people want to get a big kit from us, but it's just that the big kits, they come with a lot of problems that I want to make sure we address the right way.
They usually only last about a year or two and then they break down.
Well, that's where I've been hearing a lot of people give suggestions, which is great, but again, it's this whole the whole business side of things is for a bigger kit, we're going to have to primarily go through our distributors, which we don't mind, but it's then just kind of thinking about talking to our distributors. Hey, what are the ways that we have to work with you all to make sure that this bag sells really good? Because again, distributor has to sell everyone else's stuff. So again, they're not loyal to anyone, so it's just really making sure that we do our due diligence, making that the right way. And again, there's the part I just don't like is having the trust distributor to make that sale for us.
Yeah, definitely. So funding wise, you kind of mentioned that. Are you self-funding all these projects, or are you working with outside investors?
Self-funded. Yeah, and that's where I guess I'll kind of help tell people that journey of being able to do that, because again, starting out 2021, first generation dead bug, again, everything was self-funded. And for those first 2.5 years, again, we could, continue to, grow with self-funding and all that stuff internally within the business, getting credit lines. But the hardest thing about developing another bag wasn't really at that point getting more funding. It was at 2022 is that DV2 sales were going so fast.
Yeah.
So a lot of that funding I was getting was just going towards getting more DV2s. And at that point, I did want to make Nemesis. I had sketches. We didn't get prototypes made, but the problem is at that point, there was not enough funding to get enough to make a lot of Nemesis, because I knew that, whenever Nemesis was made, it was going to match DV2 sales. So what was it, 2023, the Firefly. The reason why I made the Firefly second, because you're going from a big gap of DV2 then something as small as the Firefly, it was budget. Yeah. It was as simple as that. I couldn't afford to make something like the Dragonfly, the drone, or Nemesis. So literally just from that funding journey, okay, we got Firefly. And then that next year, boom, Firefly was crazy. Sales are going good. But then again, as we got more funding, I still had to fund DV2 and Firefly. And it wasn't until this year where, the production cycle of 2024 going to 2025, okay, we had the funding for Nemesis, but I had to kick back and take away some of the budget from DV2 to help fund Nemesis. Because again, we projected that Nemesis was going to be the best selling bag this year, and it clearly has been. So again, it's been difficult to, move around the funding and the credit lines to make sure we fund the right way for certain product lines and meet the production schedule, which no one probably cares about, but it's extremely difficult.
So looking at the future, do you feel that you'll keep this type of funding structure, or would you ever be open to investors?
Probably keep it this way. As far as an investor goes, that's where, I'll kind of tell y'all that anyone that I talk to about investors that are small business owners, most of them have told me it's the worst decision they've ever made. Yeah. Quick thing. Dave Ramsey made a really good point on his 5Ds. about let's say even not even investors, but partnerships in general, right?
Mhm.
Because an investor technically has some sort of element of being a partner is that if you deal with death, divorce, disability, what's the other one? Drugs and disinterest. So
Mhm.
kind of like really a thing that a lot of people don't realize, and this happened to a company called T-Rex Arms. You got to watch out. Just with who you partner with is that, yeah, what if, for example, with this wasn't their specific story, but if you think about a divorce, right? So let's say if I'm partnered with someone that owns 30% of the business, and this is why legal paperwork is important. If that person's married and they get a divorce, oh, their spouse actually gets a part of the business too,
Yep.
even though they do nothing with it. On top of that, disability. So let's say if I have a partner, boom, they're disabled. That's a lot of pressure on me. Then I have to take care of them. So that's why with a lot of business owners, life insurance policies are very important because again, these things happen. Again, like our revenue isn't guaranteed. Drug use. Let's say my partner is just heavily using drugs and they don't give a crap about what's going on. Nope, they get to just be addicted to drugs, and I still have to pay them.
Yep.
So another one, disinterest. Let's say if someone owns half of the business and they don't really care on legal paper, yeah, they get half of the money even though they don't have to do anything. So
Yep.
there's a lot of things that people think about, whether it's a partnership or investors. You just have to really make sure that whether it's an investor, they're looking at you for the right way. And I mean, for most people, they're pretty clear about how they want to, fund you and all that stuff. But just at this point, I take it to a true pride standpoint to say that, we're self-funded here. And it's just one of those things where even though someone, let's say, had 10% of the business, I just don't want someone to have any say into decisions that I do with, having this as my logo here. So it's just something that I take a lot of pride in. And if I do take on an investor, it would have to be for a very specific reason. But things change every day. But again, at this point, I don't want to take on an investor because, I don't know. I've heard so many bad things.
Have you looked at crowdfunding ever?
Not necessarily. Just because of crowdfunding, on our end, it's logistically difficult because let's say if we crowdfund something, and let's say, for example, we crowdfunded Dragonfly, having gone through the whole process, one, they take money out of it. So let's say if we crowdfunded the Dragonfly, and then how do we process orders and fulfillment correctly? Because again, I haven't been into any of the crowdfunding's logistical fulfillment systems. It just gets a little messy, and also reporting revenue because within our website systems, boom, here's an order, click buttons, ship it out, and everything's internal versus like doing a third-party source. That's where things kind of get tricky. Again, I haven't done it. There's someone could probably show me, but it's also at this point to where we're at. We actually don't need crowdfunding, and it's really cool.
Yeah, that's great news, actually.
Maybe for the background. I don't know.
Where was I going?
Investing, crowdfunding.
Yeah, I know it was something with money, but
funding.
I don't know.
Something about funding.
I think.
Well, I could tell you, but I guess like it's the thing of money with a small business that like our primary goal as small business owners, unless you have a CFO, and most businesses don't have a CFO unless you're an 8-figure business. A lot of it is just managing cash flow. It's just managing cash flow, and that's like the hardest part to. And it takes years and you can ask other business owners. It takes years to identify, really looking at your cash flow cycles and your trends to really make sure that you guys are good. Because sometimes, we have to make decisions to where, okay, like I think it's the way it could be worded, like profitability isn't as good for a certain period of time, but you have good cash flow. Because the thing is like you always need cash on hand to be able to do things. So cash is like your life force. If you don't have cash, you can't do anything.
Yeah. So you have the partnerships with the programs. Have you looked to partner with other companies and do a crossover or something like that?
As far, all I can say is one very big company approached me. I don't like the way they did it. I thought it was pretty disrespectful. That's all I say about them. I'm not going to mention who it was. So really with like partnerships of another company, just as long as we're on like the same alignment of like what we're trying to do, I'm open to it. But that's where too, it really depends on what's going on in the industry. Because when you look at these partnerships, right, if we cross over, let's put out, what's a neutral name? Let's throw out Howie's, for example, right? So let's say if we did a crossover, like collaboration with Howie's, that's a pretty good one just because they're primary direct consumer. So that's good. If we did something where it was like a heavy partnership with someone that sells most of their stuff through, distributors like many businesses do, then both of our profits get cut by distributor because again, the distributor has to get their cut too. So that's gonna be the biggest thing people it has to be like taken into account when you do these things, because it's also why, again, just like certain product businesses have to really meet certain price points or margins because you have to account for distribution.
Yeah. I remembered what I was going to ask.
Okay.
Have tariffs affect you at all?
Over, I want to say the summer. So I'll tell you, like what was it when all that news was announced? We had, I think, a shipment of 1,000 DV2s ready to go.
Yeah.
But they were stuck in the factory because of that. So they would have been hit with the tariff. So we didn't hit that timeline of, okay, we could have shipped it at that, whatever that deadline was to make sure we didn't get hit with the tariff. So that affected us that way because, again, I think there was a good portion of the summer where we didn't have enough DV2s to make it through because we were waiting on that shipment. For a lot of my other, like specifically the drone, we had specific products to where my shipping went from $2,000 to $6,000 ship. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And really where if it's not really more of, let's say the tariff itself, global freight shipping has dramatically changed now because of that.
So how are you navigating that now?
I'll just keep me updated with the news. So pretty much the only thing that we're seeing is that our prices, like that we have to pay for production, aren't changing too much. It's more of the only thing is like when we get our products, now the shipping price, it's variable. So usually we would get quoted before, okay, boom, let's say, okay, we order 1,000 drones. This is the shipping cost. Now it's, okay, place a deposit. Your shipping will be determined at the time of production cycle completion. I'm like, oh God. So and again, it messes with pricing in that way too, because it doesn't really spike up too much. But again, it's just like, it's nicer to know from a budget standpoint, okay, this is exactly what it is when we go into production. So.
Because where are you having them made right now? Manufactured?
Yeah, most of them are, primarily mostly overseas. And again, I'm open to it. I handpicked our factories to do our stuff. And, I'm not ashamed of it. We have factories that make good stuff. And as much as I want to go USA made, we looked into that. And if we went USA made, let's say for Nemesis, I would have to phase out every single product line.
Just to support that one.
Yeah, because of the budget line. And again, it's just really those things specifically in our market that, I understand, not most of the AT profession wants to pay for something USA made. Because then we're primarily direct consumer, but if they want to go to their wholesaler, okay, we can make that happen. But guess what? We're shooting our prices another 30% because they have to get their cut too. So it's just like, it affects everything. And that's where, the whole, system of production, all that stuff, it's, I don't get too deep into that, but it's just I'm doing what's adaptable to make sure it's sellable to our customer group. If I'm selling to, like the tactical community, yeah, cool. We can go USA made and all that stuff because the tactical community is very used to paying those prices versus the sports medicine community. Oh man, like the first generation Firefly, it was over $60 because it was USA made. And after that first run, after they sold out, our manufacturer said, hey, we got to increase prices. I'm like, and at that point, it became very hard to be able to be, profitable just to run everything in here. So, and that's where, like when we talk about profits, like I don't want people to think, it's a greedy corporate term. No, it's just like profit really matters to be able to run a business. And what a lot of people don't know is the cost of actually doing business, not even just running business.
Yeah. Just the marketing, going to events, being able to give discounts for partnerships. There's a lot of cost to all that.
Yeah. That bookkeeping, paying for the rest of the team, payroll services, office rent, my storage unit rent. Yeah. Team apparel, our giveaway stuff, paying for NATA, sending our stuff to NATA, all these things. Yeah, it costs a lot of money. Paying for liability insurance, same thing. Like I have multiple liability insurance policies. Yeah, there's a heavy cost of doing business. So.
Yeah. Do you have a patent yet?
So I can tell you, since we're on here, I can tell you that we have one official patent. I'm not going to tell you which product it's for. Another product is patent pending status, and the Dragonfly will be going through patent pending status.
Okay. Yeah, and there's quite a cost to getting that done too that people don't realize.
Yeah, usually for a design patent, which we have for ours that we've done so far, they're anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500. If you go to utility patent, which is a completely different beast in itself, a utility patent can go from $10,000 to $17,000. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing too. Yeah, and also same thing, like we're trademarked, so yeah, just there's a lot of things we have to do to try to protect ourselves, especially with competition is going to be looking at us heavily next year because the Dragonfly, yeah, it's going to be a beast of a bag next year. My initial projections are that the Dragonfly itself will probably outsell the DV2, even though it's a completely different class of bag itself. Because again, it's just there's definitely been a demand for it, but also the way it's been designed, it's going to be a lot better than the bags in its design, in its size class to compete against them.
Yeah. And then the patents and trademarks, those are lifelong, or are there expirations to them?
I can't remember off the top of my head. The design patent has, I think, a lifespan of, I want to say 5 to 10 years. And I think like at the 5-year mark, it's either the 3 or the 5-year mark, you have to like do some sort of recertification to make sure the patent stays active. Trademark, probably longer on that. Again, I can't remember. I have to ask my lawyer who helped do this. And utility patent, I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. But for how much money you're paying for utility patent, it's probably going to be a long time.
I think it's about 50 years or something like that.
Oh, is it for utility patent?
Yeah, it's not even like life. It's only like 50 years. But don't quote me on that. I just know it's longer than the other ones.
Yeah. Well, I expect it to, because again, it's really, when you do a utility patent, it's like game changing, some sort of technology, whether it's digital, physical product. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to trademark the show, and that's about $1,000 to do. And it's just like,
seems right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just like the maintenance of it was just like, I really don't know how to maintain this cost. I mean, I could, but I just feel like that money would be better used in other aspects. But legally, if somebody else patents or trademarks before me, then I'm kind of screwed. So
yeah, that's where it's just, there's always a step-by-step process on, where you set those priorities on things, or when you get to a certain point, okay, boom, I'll spend the money on. That's where, again, I've been grateful to where, now we can spend the money on, patenting everything that we deem is worth doing that, or trademarking certain things, or, having our marketing towels, giveaways, all those things, and going to certain shows.
Yeah. How is your relationship with your lawyer, and have you had to create any lawsuits yet?
No. So my main lawyer is primarily a IP specialist, intellectual property. So there's been a lot of guidance with that. No lawsuit, but I will tell you, if there is competition out there that does something stupid, we're ready to go. It's and that's the thing. A lot of this too in the product world. I'm not sure as much it is in the service-based world, but I mean, the reality is business is war. And with our growth, I know that we've been getting a lot of attention from people, and it's just I still want to make the best stuff. I still want to create some really good things, change the image and the view of athletic trainers, hopefully, of our products. And yeah, we're going to draw a lot of competition. I expect that, we'll probably at some point be ready to do, some sort of legal action for certain things if need be, because yeah, it just, people see things as like, trying to get pretty close to our designs. If they're going to do that, okay, just wait.
Yeah.
But that's just the reality of, what I've expected to deal with this growth. Like, the first year I did this, I did not expect that at all. No, I didn't. But now at this point, it's like, okay, trying to preserve this, because I have a 3-year-old and I have a 9-month-old baby. Yeah, I'm trying to do this as long as I can. I got to support them, like everyone else. I got to pay rent or pay my mortgage, pay every single bill. And it's a lot of this just relies on Nexus doing this. So
yeah. Well, and I mean, that's the blessing and curse of a free market is it's really who gets their protections in first and who's doing it the best. It's the passion behind it. And, we see a lot of these products come out and there's a lot of emphasis like, oh, this is the first one. They're the creator. And it's like, nah, there's a lot of people before them that were actually doing it.
Yeah.
They just either didn't market it correctly, were too slow, I always think about like even history, how I was thinking about the other day, but like drums. Who actually created drums? Actually, every culture has their own variation of it. So
Yeah, I want to say,
I don't think you can give
yeah,
any credit to one place.
yeah, but I think it's also with that same thing, like to tie back into just being first. Have you ever seen Margin Call?
I don't think so.
Badass movie. I gotta reference it. Um,
Okay.
so Jeremy Irons plays the CEO, and there's a pretty dramatic scene to where this is like it mimics the 2008 market crash.
Mhm.
And what he said about being in the banking finance business is that, if you in order to survive, you have to be first, be smarter, or cheat.
Yeah.
And it's good to be first for some things, but like also, from my mentors, I got shout out to Maurice Pennington, and also like a value that we believe in. It's also like it's about being better. So granted, like there's certain things we've done that were the first, but it's also our other values to make sure that we're better, of everything we do. Like I don't want to, for example, like get into the tape market unless it's really, really good. Or I don't know, like I don't want to make I'm trying to think of a random thing. You know what I mean? Just like I don't want to like I don't know, tough skin spray, whatever. I don't want to make something if it's exactly the same. I want to make sure that for what we're doing something, it's gonna be really good.
hmm Yeah, definitely. Well, you had mentioned like government contracts and all that. I know athletic trainers are your specific market,
Mhm.
but are you looking to expand your market into possibly military, first or first responders, all that type of stuff?
Yeah, I would say I guess the one product that I just can't reveal yet is that secret project. That would be probably one of the tickets to where I think we could push for a government contract.
Nice.
But for everything else, I guess like to be able to sell to ATs, let's say in the military. I'm not trying
hmm
to get into the military contract stuff itself because we're primarily overseas made. Selling to the ATs in the military is tricky because ATs are utilized differently across the different units that they serve in, and that's where I'm hoping I can go on some trips to kind of just get the feedback again, just learning to see what are we doing in the field.
Yeah.
I'm kind of biased to where I believe that we should be in the field where boots are on the ground, guns are blazing, for us to assist, whether it's the medics or the Navy corpsmen, especially on the ortho side. Again, our training is really, really good in advance to be able to help make those decisions. So,
Yeah.
but going
Um,
to the EMS market real quick. Thinking about it, but it's also again like there's no need to rush into it just because I already know from a standpoint it's a very big market, far bigger than ours, but
mhm.
also a very big market, just like the military market. It's very saturated. So again, being just very strategic and also thoughtful about how we want to do things. And again, do we have to redesign certain products to meet the EMS market, or can we sell certain stuff in it too?
Yeah. Well, it had sparked my thought of, well, if you could get these bigger contracts, could you move your manufacturing back to the US to try to offset some of the costs? I'm not sure where tariffs and all that are gonna go in the future, but I mean, do you have any preference on where it's made? Obviously, you trust your manufacturers
Yeah.
pretty a lot.
Well, I'll tell you, and probably a lot of people who do their products overseas, even with the cost of tariffs, it's slightly cheaper than going USA made.
Yeah.
But it also depends on the product, right? Like for us, ours are, they're sewn together. Most of
hmm
it's being sewn together. For some parts, certain components are laser cut. The way the fabrics are, are cut. But if something's very manually labor intensive, yeah, it's gonna be very expensive unless you have a product where, like, let's say they can just be CNC the whole time, whatever, and that's some sort of way where it's very automated. Okay, labor won't be as much, but that's where, again, like small business owners like us, yeah, like we did the math, we looked at it. Sometimes paying a heavy tariff it's still more affordable than going USA made. The same thing. I wish I can go USA made, but again, I would only do that unless there's a very big opportunity. But also when it comes to government contracts, same thing. They want to be very compliant USA made. Everyone's still bidding really low to get the contract. So at that
Yeah.
point, margins are really get skimmed pretty thin, and that's where I mean honestly, shit gets really stressful with that. You have to have a healthy margin to be able to again cover everything and take care of yourself.
Yeah. Nope, it all makes sense. It's I I do support American made and I do think
Mhm.
it would strengthen the economy, but we're still in that transition phase, so it's really
Yeah.
hard to fully buy in. And at the same time, margins are so high because there's no one, there isn't a workforce to do those jobs anymore. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
that's
a
what
shortage ultimately too.
no, overseas again because they've specialized in it, for the past, I don't know, let's say 40 years. Yeah, their R&D capabilities are extremely good. So, I think it's going to grow for us. But again, it just really depends on the industry and the market. Like all my military gear, yeah, it's USA made. Love my stuff. Trust it. High-end material. So there's certain things again that the US makes a lot better in other countries. Guns, for example, right? Guns are not a lot of our military gear. So it's just it's industry specific. So
Yeah. What else do you have? Any other secrets you can't disclose?
Yeah, I guess I'll tell you. Before this meeting, I was looking at concepts and ideas for doing the wrestling wristband kit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's been heavily demanded for me. Like it was really surprising because again, back when I was a student covering wrestling, my preceptors just had the the Gatorade, their power rack water carrier, and they just put stuff in it. And then people were like, no, you need to make this. And I saw a picture of what people doing with the the pre-wrap, putting stuff on it. And kind of like the design I have, it will kind of mimic what the Cutmen use in combat sports. So just kind of combine those elements and to making it suitable for AT. So that's definitely a huge challenge. But again, it's just, with doing pretty difficult projects, we learn from it. So
yeah. Do you think it would be a disposable thing or reusable?
now completely reusable. Just because on that end, again, I don't know what pricing would be. It's just really, we want to have something that is pretty functional. Again, like the Cutmen, the wristband thing they use, it's reusable. So it's really now more of identifying what's going to be our material on that bottom edge. Again, where all that sweat and grime builds up in. It is going to be, can we hand wash it? Can we scrub it? All that stuff. And then it kind of just, it takes into factor of what materials you're using. And because of those materials, that changes design and how we approach things.
Yeah. Have you looked into, accessories, doohickeys, to attach to your bag for ease of access? I think I had sent you some ideas at one point from like nurses. They attach stuff to their badges or their pockets and all that.
Oh.
Have you thought about doing something like that for ease of access for the athletic trainer?
Ooh, like on themselves personally, or onto a kit?
Either or.
Okay. Yeah. So this year we came out with the glove dispenser pouch, the mini dispenser pouch, which does those plugs. So, on my whiteboard over here, there's tons of sketches of projects that we have in mind. So I'm not really worried about, but kind of things that are on the person. It's tricky. I got to hear feedback. Crazy idea I have. I'm happy to ask you to get feedback. Is that I've sketched out I'm gonna call it a utility top, like not in the sense that's an AT uniform, it's an AT scrub. We got to scrap that because we're a different field.
Yeah.
I've sketched, let's say a game day, summer or winter top, so that let's say for example, if every AT in the nation, I'll say most of them, whatever, has it. Hopefully, that's the type of top, again, utility top that people can see. Okay, we know that's athletic trainer, right? Same thing, like what a nurse looks like in the field, or whatever setting, what, and a paramedic looks like, right? Doctors, it's weird on the field, but that's where I'm hoping that just this idea of having an AT utility top, does that better identify us in the field? Is there going to be more recognition? Because I think everyone kind of, we're all sick and tired of being called trainers, right?
Yeah.
I'm a proponent of the name change. I don't know if I get berated for that, but it's real though. You know what I mean? Because what are the steps that hopefully we can do here at Nexus to, okay, let's say, what if we have something that just clearly identifies us, and hopefully that changes the culture of the way that we're viewed too. Again, I remember Daryl Conway said that our bags are making a difference at the way that people like identify us now, which is it's flattering, but that's where I'm wondering, is that next step is that utility top? I've done sketches, but I will tell you, and whoever's else going to try to do this, that apparel's a beast.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah, it's a beast.
So you're trying to redefine the khakis and polos that we are so well identified by.
Yeah, I don't care if I get berated by it, but it's also, I mean, yeah, people can identify us like that, right? But is it also a true definition of who we are in that sense of like, again, like what is a uniform item that, what is something that we wear that people can immediately say, boom, that's who it is.
Yeah.
And that's hoping, solve a problem. I think I hope we can solve. And again, I just need feedback because before, people actually give me real feedback, people are going to talk shit on social media. I'm like, why don't you tell this to me in person? We're here to try to make things better. And just, that's gonna be the rough part about this too, is that, I want to try to make things better or design some new stuff that's innovative. We can evolve from it, but I just need to hear it versus you can't complain and then we can't do anything about it because we don't know what's going on. So it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to some of our program partners, they're fully down for it. So, okay, we have like 150 people that would get it, but it's, again, like people have already berated me with some questions like, oh, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? I'm like, I have ideas, but just because it's going to be hard, it doesn't mean you don't do it. And that's like for anything with what we're doing in the profession, like, yeah, shit's hard right now. But if you stick down to the basis of trying to do really good things or have a specific goal and vision in mind, you can get things done. So, yeah.
Well, when you keep saying utility clothing, I keep thinking of like a fishing vest with all the pockets.
Nothing like that. Nah, I'm just saying utility because I don't want to say uniform. You know what I mean? Like, and then some people say, oh yeah, we need to wear scrubs in the field. Like, no, scratch that. Because again, like, and again, I'll argue with that person. It's like, that is tied to a nurse.
Well, and I think the problem is that we work in so many settings with different cultures on what's supposed to be worn. If I'm going out to a soccer game, if I'm in California, I'm in shorts and a short sleeve shirt. If I'm in Wisconsin at the end of the season, I'm in a full-blown snowsuit. So I'm not even sure.
I'm telling you, I have it by seasons. Like, I've sketched out the summer utility top or the t-shirt version or like the long sleeve version. Again, here in Florida, the sun is same thing here in the Southeast. The sun is blazing, right? Long sleeves protect the skin. There's a winter utility top. So it's like, I thought deep into this to where, again, like, for all those people are going to just like have these negative comments. I'm like, okay, what are you doing to give us a better image in the field? So
is it a color or is it an actual design?
There's actual design. So kind of the best way to think about it's like, so imagine, okay, I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, right? As you can see here. It's just the way that it would be designed is that with seams, the definition is of a seam, that the shirt would be constructed to where the seams are just sewn and designed in a very specific way that has, again, aesthetic. We're here, Nexus, we're all about aesthetic, to have that aesthetic. And then hopefully, can we do this design, keep having it for the years to come. And as if more people buy into it and also use this design, it's going to be more universal seen across, let's say not in America. Well, let's say America, maybe the world that, okay, these are the people with a specific shirt. These are the people that actually wear it. And this is what their job is. Yeah. That's all I'm trying to solve. So let's say, but mainly in the field, not like in clinic. Obviously in clinic, that's a very different thing, right? But let's just say out in primarily secondary school setting. And then I already have people complain, oh, they're not going to do in the NFL and college. I'm like, okay, but you start from somewhere. I don't care from somewhere. If it fails, I'm happy to say, okay, we did and it failed, but we tried to do it. So,
well, and I think the other thing that came into my mind was, well, if you're a brand sponsored department, but you're just setting the standard because obviously there's different brands of scrubs or EMT stuff. So you're just trying to be a leader and trying to define a type of look.
No, exactly. Because that's where, I mean, I don't know how many, again, there's going to be people that don't like it, but how many people are proud to wear polo and khakis on the field? I hated it. I mean? Yeah, it's just, so I think there's just, as we, keep evolving over time, there's ways to, again, evolve our look too. That's what we're here about. It's about the image of the athletic trainer. And I mean, I'll tell you that a lot of people in the profession are very mixed about it. So,
well, I think, what was it, last year or the year before, I was trying to approach some clothing brands like Under Armour and stuff because it's for athletic training. I don't need the stylish things. I just need like the basic line. So then I can go back and buy the same thing since I really like it. And then I never find it again.
That's where a lot of the ladies have come up to me like, if you do this, make pants. And like, we can do it. But it's just that same thing. Like, people have very specific preferences of bottoms, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think it's easier to start at the top because, there's more flexibility at the top versus the bottom. And that's, if we get to pants, okay, cool, we get to pants. But I agree that, like, again, someone could say, oh, why don't you try to work at Under Armour, Nike, Adidas about them? Like, then you run to the problem. Oh shit, what if that school is only associated with this brand? Versus us, it's going to be like, we're just really in the neutral and we're only outfitting a couple medical staff versus, like, all the coaches, all this equipment staff. You know what I mean? Because again, like, ours is a very specific uniform top to identify who we are. And that's where we have a lot of ideas. Okay, cool. We can embroider or get something sewn on to where, okay, it's your team. We could do that.
Yeah.
That's not impossible. Nothing. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think even if you did approach them, you're just trying to penetrate the market a little bit faster. I think, I mean, I don't think Nike fully owns shorts as a intellectual property thing, but I mean, it may help with the penetration into the market if you actually approach some of these bigger places. Because my thought on the basics line also was strength and conditioning coaches could use it also, coaches could use it, administrative could use it too, but it's athletic, it's professional looking, and it's functional. Because that's the biggest thing, especially as, a female wearing khaki pants. I didn't mind them when I found a pair that actually worked, but trying to find that pair again was very difficult. That's
what I heard too. I'm same thing. I'm picking my game day clothes too. Like, I have my certain things I like, and then they phase it out. Damn. So, and that's where again, hopefully, we're here to bridge that gap too. But I mean, this all ties back into the thing we were talking about earlier, funding. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, apparel. For those of you who don't know, like, making apparel is very expensive in itself too. That is one of the hardest things to not just develop, but also just to sell. Apparel is really, really difficult margins. So.
Yeah. Well, especially if that's not your primary product, it's kind of dead weight sometimes.
Yeah. But again, the cool thing about this, apparel line is that, every couple of years people need apparel.
Yeah. So. Things wear out.
Yeah. I don't know if I can vouch like Lululemon, like, does their stuff really last that long? I think maybe some of it does. But no, you're
it always pills for me. Like their leggings and stuff. I love them, but they pill.
And my wife loves her leggings too. But again, it's just like, if you're using things a lot, they're gonna wear out. It's
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's even I have my certain quarter zips that I use, and if it's not the right material, when I wear my sling, it rubs where the sling's sitting, so then it pills right there too. So
okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's the thing too. I think a lot of some of the feedback we've gotten to, people have asked about certain things, like, for anything that's being made, there's going to be a trade-off, right? For example, if you want lightweight, all right, it's probably not going to be abrasion resistance. Okay, you want something super, super tough, it's probably going to be really heavy. So it's just, in just whatever industry itself, like, to find something that's a perfect thing where there's no cons, it's possible. I mean, there's probably something out there, but that's where just helping educate people. Like, there's nothing that's really perfect. Like our EcoPack series, they're really UV resistant. They're awesome. They're lightweight, great water resistance. The only downside is they just don't have the same abrasion resistance as our 500D Cordura. Yeah. But if you make 500D Cordura in super bright colors, that shit fades super fast, and we learned that the hard way. So you just have to. We have those trade-offs with things in general.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the triangle of business. I don't know if that's the right title, but it's time, cost, and quality. You can't have all three. You have to figure out how to shift what's your preference of what you're providing to the market.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality of anything, is like, good things aren't cheap, and usually cheap things aren't good. Yeah. I mean, most people want to buy a Ferrari at the cost of a Honda Civic, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, with you, the time, if it's a high demand, the timing of getting it's going to take longer because it takes a while to get out.
Yeah, I mean, that's where some of our products, depending on the big line, like the first drop, we have in production for Dragonfly, we're going with 2,600 bags. Yeah, it's going to take a couple months to get those ready. Yeah, I'm also, is it cool if I announce the colors just while we're on this podcast? Okay. Yeah, first, the colors for the first Dragonfly drop will be black, smoke gray, alpine, splatter, tropic teal, flamingo, and our limited edition color will be the bluebell.
Oh wow. Yeah, I think I saw that one on your Instagram. I
Yeah,
like that color.
it's a gorgeous color. It's probably going to really fast in Nemesis.
Well, and I think when you talked about Daryl saying that your pack has defined an athletic trainer to an extent, I mean, I think it is the color too. I mean, you see EMTs in that fluorescent neon green that you guys
Yeah.
have. You usually can identify that, or their navy uniform.
Mhm.
A lot of athletic trainers wear a lot of black.
Well,
That
I'll
kind
tell
of
you.
sinks into the background pretty easily.
Well, I'll tell you, Shelby, 90% of our sales are black bags.
Well, they don't get
even,
as dirty, I guess.
even though like we do have a good number, like in the ratio of our colored stuff, they sell at the same ratio of what we produce to what expected. But no, like 90% of our stuff is black. And for me as a designer, I love doing really cool stuff. And I have prototypes here in badass fabrics that aren't black, and I probably can't make them because not black makes 90% of our sales. That's what's like, it's frustrating on my end because like I want to put out the coolest stuff, but just people want black. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. When are you gonna make a camo pattern bag?
So and we have a few. Our only camo we have right now is Alpine. I've actually thought about custom fabricating our own pattern. So that's something
Okay.
I've been in the works of. Like right now, we're currently I'm working with a factory to custom make a 400D polyester variant laminated version of a custom color. Just because again, like there's X-Pack and EcoPack, they're great. We've had good relationships with them, but also there's certain colors we want to make that they don't provide. And to make it with them, some of them like don't do it, or certain companies know you have to order like 2,000 yards of it.
Yeah.
Don't need 2,000 yards of this color. So kind of trying to do it from the root basis of no middleman, just talking with the factory. Hey, if I give you this hex code, let's try to make this color. We'll get them out in the field, test the fabrics, make sure we're all good. And again, we're trying to do things from the grassroots here of, just doing it from the original basis of, yeah, it's harder, but this is what it takes for us to be successful and also to learn. Yeah, we're trying to do it here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what else you got? What else did you want to talk about?
I guess let me ask you this. What do you think? Because I talked to my team about this too. Do you think, I guess, like with not the state of profession, I think like what everyone really talks about, whether it's burnout, hours, or money, like I guess like what are your ideas of like how ATs can get paid more? Because I think we're all hearing the same stuff, right? But that's where I always preach that, just looking into the business route of whatever way of business like will help us get paid more money, because we can't always depend on some sort of institution, organization, or team to pay us more. So I just want to get your feedback, like from you as someone who does like more service-based stuff, like what do you think is that path for the profession?
I think it's ultimately learning how to negotiate.
Okay.
So, and continuously negotiating.
Okay.
And I think it's also having an understanding of what you actually want to achieve in your job. This is my perception. I don't know if it's fully true or anything. The professional route is obviously exciting. Professional sports, and that is usually kind of the bread and butter of why people get into the profession. Not everyone. High school and then that are usually kind of the top things, or a high level institution in college. There's an ego portion that goes with that. It's, I'm working with the best. Cool. I think that's great. I think those are great aspirations. I think you have to break it down of exactly why you want to do that and what you're achieving. What is it personally filling for you? What is it personally filling for you professionally? You have to really sit there and reflect on what type of setting you want to be in. I think we're starting to see a bit of a change with the athletic trainers that are coming out. I think they are starting to negotiate, or at least setting higher standards of what they expect. It's great. It's hard at the same time entering the market. I don't think they understand the full business aspects of what goes into that price when you're working with another contractor. if you're going out and doing PRN by yourself, you're getting the contracts, you're getting the insurance, supplies, all that stuff. Yeah, I think you should bargain as high as you can. But when you're going through a third party, I think they forget that, okay, I'm giving you the easy access to this job to make money. So you have to realize the cost that I mean, the companies that I've worked with, what we've put in to establish this this contract, this coverage, whatever it needs to be. So I think that's where, establishing that relationship and the time that it took to do that. There's a lot of risk involved when you are the company owner, and I think that gets forgotten too.
I can tell you.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's always this negativity around capitalism and the free market and all that stuff. And it's like, well, the person that went out and decided to put this contract together or this business together, there's a lot of time and effort that you don't see, and the stresses and the financial investment just to get this to where it is, quality, establishing the network, the customer base, that always gets like washed aside when you're working with another company. And I wish more of these business aspects were touched on in the master's program. Okay. So yes, we need to be paid more, but you have to understand the different dynamics of some of the pricing that is put out there, I think is one thing. And then I think it's also going back to the scholarship portion of things, of understanding the different variables of cost. I've pointed out with the NATA salary survey, it really should be taken with a grain of salt, because the last one I think was about 68,000 was the average for the nation. But if you actually lived in different states,
it's like that here in Florida, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
My team.
So if you lived in different states, cost of living is a factor. Texas is going to be way cheaper than New York or California. Their standards for federal labor standards, minimum FLSA in California it was 68,000 when I was living there, 2-ish years ago. And if that's the average for the nation, then athletic trainers aren't going to necessarily be able to survive there with that average. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to be able to actually digest the research to be able to apply it to the situation you're in. So yeah, that average may be great for somebody in Arkansas if you're negotiating. So I think you have to do some of the background on the numbers that you're using. Yes, it's a little bit of work, but it's really trying to be able to strengthen your negotiation ultimately. And then I think the research came out recently that I'm going to get the numbers wrong. It's more than half of athletic trainers don't actually negotiate the initial offer that an employer gives you. And that offer is usually lower on the range. So you need to push back, and not aggressively or anything, but professionally, obviously, try to counter it. Because it's usually on the low end, and they have a buffer zone that they're trying to meet ultimately. So I think if we can get more confidence in those conversations, it will help. And then with that, when you do sign, or when you're ready to sign a contract or an agreement, whatever it may be, this is for salary, career, not per diem, obviously. But you need to revisit that every year. And then at the same time, when you're about to sign it, you need to make sure that you articulate specific key performance measures, so that you can actually have evidence of what you are doing in the job to help negotiate a raise or increase in pay. It may be more continuing education. It may be different other benefits, that may contribute to your professional well-being. It may tuition reimbursement,
Yeah.
those types of things. You can get pretty creative with it ultimately. Cell phone, mileage reimbursement.
Yeah.
There's other ways to make a better package for you to work for them. So it's doing more research on those aspects. Because I think that was originally the mission for this show, was to educate people on how to do those things. So I'm glad that you brought it up.
Yeah, because I didn't negotiate my first salary. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I was just excited to get a job.
Yeah, because I was already 2 years. I did 2 years of GA, and like what I learned, what we talked about back in undergrad Temple. I was like, I didn't think about that, 2 years later when I signed my first contract. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also identifying the challenges or weaknesses that the institution is facing, and what are the skill sets that you have to help strengthen, streamline, all those action words of what you're actually going to contribute if you're hired at that company. I think we get complacent that, well, I'm an athletic trainer, I can do everything, but you have to be able to articulate what makes you different, how you're going to align with the mission, and help them with their standards and objectives that they're setting forth.
Follow-up question for you then with that. Do you believe, let's say if you're at a place where, whatever setting, doesn't matter, where they're just hard capped and not being able to pay much more, do you think that is it really our true path to getting paid better is through the reimbursement route? Or is it kind of the other limitations? Because I'm here to learn too, because I just don't know much about it. And people have asked me, I'm like, I'm a product designer. I can't vouch for it.
I think it's going to be hard for all settings to do it.
Okay.
I don't think that some settings are set up for that ultimately.
Obviously.
That's one thing that I've been trying to explore, and with my guests also, is, well, would third party really help anything? But at the same time, I mean, physical therapists and physicians are having a very difficult time getting reimbursed for when they bill out also. So if they're having problems, if we jump into that, is it really going to help? I don't know.
That's where part of me believes in the cash method. You know what I mean? So there's a handful of business owners that I know that ATs that are doing the cash-based model, and they're doing it. So maybe I could preach that. Hopefully there's more people that do it and they can grow themselves where, they can bring on a whole big staff of ATs. But I think there's a big part of it to where I think it's the mindset of the clinician, right? Like, are there clinicians applying for these jobs to be people that, it's like, I'm not trying to be mean about it, but it's like, are they here to just like, all right, they're just trying to chill and make as much money as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus, in a small business like that, we are like, no, like if you have to put in the work to help generate money for the company. So same thing like here, like, the second, if I were to say, okay, we're going to, Nexus is going to get a sales rep. No, we're going to have a couple hundred applications. And I think what some people might think is that, nope, it's going to be a cushion job to where they can chill. But no, we're a small business. Like, you have to be able to show you're going to help generate revenue.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I think people misunderstand the risk portion of what type of job you take in. And I think that's why I was harping on, you need to reflect on what you want. If you like the risk, you like the ambiguity, the flexibility, owning your own business is great for that, because you are most likely going to get paid for your potential that you're actually providing the company, or the output that you're putting. But it's very risky because there's many variables that will come along, and the tariffs may have been something that had to halt business for you, like we talked about. COVID was kind of a thing. All the events shut down for a very long time. And that's with, I mean, the state of college athletics is changing since they're opening the summers now for some schools. But it was a pretty cush job that the summers were pretty light, and it was kind of rolling in and out when needed. You could go take a little bit longer vacation and maybe not have to use your vacation as strictly as maybe other jobs. You have to weigh the pros and cons of the different environments of making a paycheck. And I think we don't talk about that enough.
That's really good. I wonder, because I don't know if if all the MSAT programs really, not even just talking about like, obviously negotiations one thing. Are they really going into, like you just mentioned, like talking about what are the dynamics that go into why you're paid a certain way, or how come, where is it, what are the things that an organization has to go through to be able to pay someone?
Yeah.
And to understand,
Well,
like I was talking to one employees, like, let's say said company pulls in over almost $1 billion a year,
mhm.
and said person says, how come I'm not getting paid a lot? I'm like, because you're not a revenue generating asset.
Mhm. You're at
It's as simple as that.
stationary
Yeah.
level in the organization. Well,
Yeah.
and it's even looking at working at the collegiate setting or, an established company. They're going to provide you benefits, retirement, some perks on continuing education or covering your membership fees and all that. Are you willing to make sure those are provided for security reasons? I don't, yeah, it's up to you personally.
Yeah.
So, or do you want to go work for sales for Jay at Nexus and you get commission for how much work you're actually putting in? I don't know. That's probably not how it fully works for you, but I'm sure there are some perks if you put in the work.
No, but that's what you talk about, though. I guess just a lot of it is, I think there's a big misconception with a lot of people. Maybe like they're just trying to search for that, again, that cushion job to where, okay, I'm going to make mad money, but I don't have to do a lot. But I think the big reality that you and I can both agree is like, if you want to make a lot of money, you have to deal with a lot of shit or do a lot. So for example, like most of my work schedule isn't really here in the office. A lot of mine is at night, talking to my factories, approving production orders, making modifications. Like a lot of my heavy work hours are literally at night or early in the morning. So, and there's like sacrifices that being made if you want to pay yourself better, or it depends on the role, right? Like, or if you have to move up the ladder of leadership, whatever. But it's just usually if you get paid more, you have to deal with more stuff. And I don't want people to think that, no, it's just like, no, just any job in general. Yeah, there's always been something where I can just chill and money's just given to me. No, like you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Or did I say that right? Or did I say that right?
So what you reap.
So you reap.
Reap what you sow.
Shoot.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like the effort you give in should be rewarded with the effort that you gave in that sense.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think even people realize how much it costs to have people on the payroll. You as a business owner, I'm sure, has to pay.
Yeah, you know how much taxes I pay for my
taxes, worker compensation, payroll.
My FICO tax, the unemployment tax I pay. Yeah, because people talk about these are tax statements. I'm like, yeah, I'm the one that pays it.
I'm taking care of you.
I see the payroll statements. I know I'm the one that pays all these taxes. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's also like in a cool side, like we're structured S corp. It's a good benefit, but also, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, and I think, shoot, it's been a while since I've talked about this statistic, but I think even for insurance, I think for, what is it? I'll have to take this out. It was like a 30 cents to $1 ratio of what a company has to pay for you to have insurance. Or it was like,
I'll tell you.
Yeah. I don't know if you know that better.
Well, the rough quote I got, because my wife, I was talking to my wife, like, hopefully in the future I could bring her on, so she can, not work at her regular job and just get that flexibility.
Yeah.
Again, us, we have multiple kids. One of my guys said to, do private insurance, whatever, for the family, probably around $3,000 a month. I'm like,
yeah.
And again, with my wife's job, where she works at Teamsters, she's good. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm not getting into insurance because I'll tell you, I hate just the industry itself. I think it's a scam, but whatever. But yeah, God.
Well, and I mean, I always say this, not to get political, but it's considerations of standards that are set by your community, nationwide, state. I do think that with the Obamacare, setting the requirement that everybody has health insurance has monopolized the health insurance industry, and that is why it is so expensive. There's also other problems with insurance in general. Yeah, but
I know very
little. If it's required, the cost is exponential ultimately, I think. So, even minimum wage, I mean, New York's going to have to figure it out right now with their new mayor. There's obviously some rules and regulations, but all the free things that he's offering, somebody has to pay for it somewhere.
Somewhere.
So either your taxes are going to go up, you know, you can keep taxing the rich, but they're going to leave at some point. So
yeah, that's the thing too. Just, like it's like you said, it's something comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
And you see this too in like any college, like, oh, if you want to get something, it's got to be, the budget has to be pulled from somewhere. Or same thing like you heard from me, like to really make as much Nemesis bags we needed for the year, part of that budget was pulled from DV2. Dragonfly's budget, I'll tell you, like as we did continue to get more, in-house funding to fund Dragonfly, part of that budget came from DV2.
Yeah.
So yeah, something's got to give.
Yeah. So it just, I think there needs to be better reflections on decisions. What is it really benefiting you or the group, or is it actually going to hurt you at the end of the day with some of the requirements that are put into place? So, those are what I think about when looking at business and making money and all that stuff. If you keep increasing the minimum wage, that doesn't really solve the problem either, because then everything else kind of gets more expensive. So yeah, I think it's just, we're not doing a good job of researching the implications of requirements and other things, and it's hurting us at the end of the day. So going back to my initial point, you have to really reflect on what you're trying to do as an athletic trainer, professionally and personally. I think a lot of people have a lot of energy and want to, get involved and do it all. And at the end of the day, after about 5 or so years, you're going to want to have a family. You're going to get a little burnt out. It's trying to set up standards and boundaries early on, and going from there.
Good stuff. Good talking points. Yeah, I've always wanted to ask someone that. That's something I want to ask more people too, because again, I'm just here to, think about all this feedback and hopefully be able to give someone else a good answer too. Because the only thing I can only really vouch for is that I think the future of this profession is business, in a sense of like it's just being done differently, right? Because this is the point I'm going to actually touch on with another live recording with a buddy, is that if LMTs, chiros, personal trainers are charging patch-based stuff for stuff that we can already do, like why aren't we doing it?
Yeah.
Regardless of the whole like practice acts, whatever, it's possible. Not going to get into those details, but like we're just in the dust. We're literally being buried in the dust with people just pushing out and doing it. And I think that's where a lot of our profession, again, it's not our fault that, we are service-based providers, so where, we're here for the people. It just our mindset isn't how to generate money. We've never been trained to do that, which is, it's not our fault. So it's just, is there have to be a shift to where we're trained on how to identify how to do that? I don't know. But again, I want to get more of that feedback to hopefully give people those answers in the future, because I don't know. So. Well,
and you have to look at, so the third-party reimbursement, I don't think would work with how we're currently operating and seeing multiple patients at once. I think it would be a really big red flag for insurance companies of
and the documentation. Oh my God.
And the documentation. But I think there's technically an equation of how many people you're supposed to see in a day, in an 8-hour day, technically. We're seeing 40 people a day. So I think for the third-party reimbursement, somebody would have to go and reform it directly for athletic trainers to be able to achieve any reimbursement. And then you have to look at the structure of athletic training in the traditional setting. We're socialized healthcare. Okay. That we, along with not having third-party reimbursement, looking at how hospitals outsource us, we're kind of a charity ultimately.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's community.
I've heard of some systems that use this the big companies use this as a tax write-off.
Yeah. We're not making the money. We're too efficient at our jobs, and we're actually decreasing the amount of referrals to their clinics. So they're not actually making money off of us. They do get, the surgeries. Those are kind of big money things, but we're too good at our jobs that they see us not as a I don't know if threat is the right word, but in the business aspect of things, they're paying us to go out, but then they're not really reaping the money in. So I think that's why some programs get rid of us pretty quickly.
I mean, I basically just hear like those little things. That's almost like maybe reframe the thought. I'm thinking cash base. Again, it's not easy, right? And it's not for everyone, but you know what? Like if we're talking about just control, right? Everything you just mentioned, there's always someone in the controlling arm above us.
Yeah.
Where again in the cash based model, no, you get to control it. Third party reimbursement, insurance controls everyone in this world, right? In the hospital system, again, there's another level of control, obviously insurance, but like in that cash based method, it's there. And maybe is that the method for us to really park in on our services that way? Because again, like you said, we're really good at our jobs. How do we monetize that? And again, it's also in a good way, right? You can make money being a healthcare professional. Look at the world. So just, make sure it's done with, morals and values. And that's where I'm hoping that in the future, the current generation athletic trainers and in future people can help push for that too. Because again, our current generation, you and I right now, we're the people that have to help talk to the younger generations on how to push for that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I thought about doing a business conference, but that's a whole different, I don't know. Yeah, it's complicated. Oh my God.
Well, hold your breath. Hopefully in the spring in California, we have one, but we'll bring it out to other states. Well, and also with the third party, which I get worried about, is it's going to cap innovation within our profession, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to get everything approved if you actually want to get paid for it. And we know that every case is individual and individual preference. So I don't necessarily know if third party would be conducive for what all we do and the ability to get it done quickly. So I mean, those are my personal observations, like talking with people.
Speed is key. For example, one of the reasons why, I like being a primary direct-to-consumer business is because, let's say sales that were made yesterday, usually they'll come into the bank account 2 days later. Mm-hmm. We do a small portion of our sales through our distributors. We're on net 30s and net 45s. And what a lot of people don't realize is that, okay, let's say if it's more bulk in some situation with the distributors, I pay a lot of interest in funding my products. So it's, there's a lot of things that have to be considered when you do that stuff. And same thing with, as you talked about the third party reimbursement through insurance, you're waiting on them versus cash base. That money's in the next day. So,
I mean, anybody that's gone and had a service completed at their doctor's, you get a bill maybe a week or two later, but then it's still pending for insurance approval and stuff. Like the process is super drawn out and confusing, because if you have two services done at the same time and you're right at your pay out of pocket maximum, like they have to debate, well, who's going to be covered, who's not going to be covered.
No, it's crazy.
It's a lot. And I don't know if we have, I'm sure we have the capacity to deal with third party, but at the same time, I don't think it is. Workers' comp is already difficult for different settings. Yeah. So
I guess what I'll say with that, maybe on an ending note, is that I think like the profession moving forward, let's not, jump 100% into one thing. It's diversifying, right? And diversifying into different things. Just have options.
Mm-hmm.
Because not one's gonna be perfect, as we just discussed. So hopefully that's something people look and say, okay, boo, there's bad things with third party. Okay, boom, there's gonna be bad things in cash base. There's gonna be bad things with workers' comp, whatever. It's just like still diversifying and hopefully from that process learning on, okay, what's gonna be the next thing in the future that works really good.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just what comfort of risk do you actually have is the biggest question too.
I'll tell you, my risk level's high. I've been dealing with it.
Well, and that's what we were talking about before we got on the podcast, was I'm working on a lodge to have a spa on it. Mm-hmm. That's a great way to do cash business is you have some sort of recovery business, and then you're able to see patients alongside. So you're making two different type of revenue sources of the individual care and then the passive, compression boots, whatever, they can come in and utilize the membership of that spa or retreat or lounge, whatever it needs to be. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of the next evolution of being able to get that patient care, or even like a concierge athletic trainer, where you have a bunch of athletes underneath you, and you're kind of the point person with all your networks and referral systems of you're able to get a quick soap note, however that may be, virtual, in person, and then you're able to, yeah, this is manageable, I can take it on my plate, or I'm going to refer you out as necessary.
Yeah, and I think, and what you just mentioned there, like there's ways to do it. It's just that I think it just has to be really thought about to see, oh, this is something we've been missing. So hopefully, again, there are people that do that, capitalize, because I mean, again, like I think I mentioned to you before this, like, yeah, it'd be cool if I had my own wellness clinic. Then part of me is like, oh God, I don't want to deal with that. Because again, like that's not my background, even though like, yeah, I've done a lot of PRN work and I love manual therapy, but there's so much I've had to dive into just the product side of Nexus. Like it takes a lot out of me. And that's where I think everyone can agree that you have to really mitigate how much of your mental effort you're putting out. And that's where, you know, after this, I'm gonna go home. I gotta see my kids. You know, I love having my kids and they're a blessing. So it's trying to make sure you have that mental energy for everything throughout the day.
Yep. Well, it was great talking to you.
Yeah,
always a brain teaser. I love talking about this stuff, though. It's fun.
No, I'm glad. That's where, you know, for future conversations, I can refer other people too, because I think the other business owners I know will definitely give some more insight. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for being on, and I'm sure we'll see you in the near future again.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hour 20.
That's it for today's episode of To The Bone. I hope we've sparked some new thoughts, challenged your perspectives, or simply reminded you to dig a little deeper. Remember, life isn't just about what's on the surface. Sometimes you've got to cut deeper and get to the bone of what really matters. To The Bone podcast is a product of Daily LLC. It's hosted and produced by Shelby Daly, ATC, and Randy Daly. No clinical decision-making should be based solely on one source. While care is taken to ensure accuracy, factual errors can be present. For more on the show, visit www.tothebonepodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Get involved in the conversation. You can find us at www.tothebonepodcast.com. Drop us topic suggestions or be a potential guest. We're all about connecting with you, our listeners. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep cutting deep.